There's something disturbing going on in our schools.
In every school and every postcode, rape jokes and rape threats are completely and utterly normalised.
Teenage boys are being bombarded with toxic narratives around masculinity and the opposite sex.
This movement is just there for, hatred.
It starts on social media, but misogyny is mounting in classrooms.
Why was it that these 14-year-old boys were sort of really, getting to me?
In a primary school setting, boys make sexualised groaning noises as teachers walk past.
Female teachers are leaving the profession, and female students are on the front lines.
One of them would be crying every day before she had to go to school because she didn't feel safe in her classroom.
Parents, and in fact all of us, are struggling to keep up with the manipulative algorithms pushed out by big tech.
Children have these billion-dollar and trillion-dollar industries weaponising their limbic systems against them.
So how can we tackle this complex issue without alienating boys or pushing them further into the manosphere?
Hey, what the was that?
The Netflix drama Adolescence cast an international spotlight on teen misogyny.
It's not like he's gonna have his
With gritty realism and compelling performances, the UK series depicted the radicalisation of a 13-year-old schoolboy and chilled parents to the core. I've been invited to a Brisbane boys' school that's tackling these issues head-on.
Have you ever had a little bot or little pop-up that's like, hi, I'm Sarah, I'm 3 Ks away and I can be your dirty little secret tonight?
They've brought in educator Daniel Principe to chat with the Year 8s.
Let's tell me, where do you see a lot of this stuff? Games? Yep. Instagram? Yep. Pop-ups on top of school resources? Wow. Okay. Who has seen, put your hand up if you've seen something on socials where a man or a group of men are telling a woman or a group of women, get back in the kitchen, go make me a sandwich. Who's seen that in their social media?
What's so tragic is they're hearing these voices that are whipping up suspicion at best and disdain at worst for the other sex. I don't think we should be surprised if these attitudes then leak out in what some boys do, because that is the diet that they've been served up. These toxic voices who, sadly, the algorithms obviously send more content to.
Women biologically crave dominance from men.
Grab your nuts, realize these girls are very simple.
Treat them like shit. And no, I'm not kidding.
Boys, can I have your attention? What you believe about these topics, it matters a lot.
Daniel sees how these beliefs are showing up in schools.
You watch how boys will not take an instruction or an order from female staff, but then if a male staff says something, they respond.
The first class I ever had, one of the male students just got out his iPhone and started filming me, and I had no idea what to do about it.
When Holly Cooper came to teaching, she faced pushback from some high schoolers.
If you ask a kid, usually a boy, to give you their phone, they'll generally say, no, not doing it. They will absolutely assert their dominance, and then it's you and them. And once the kids smell fear, then, you're kind of done for.
It's not just teenagers trying to assert dominance.
I've experienced misogyny and sexism as a primary school teacher in students as young as kindergarten.
Meg has been teaching for more than a decade, and she says this sort of behaviour is getting worse.
I've been called a bitch, a bitch, a stupid bitch, a dog, slut. I've been told to suck male students, suck my sexualised moaning sounds. I definitely felt kind of a bit scared, how do you know that? How at 10 do you feel so confident to be able to say that to an adult in a school context?
Meg's experiences are echoed by primary and high school teachers around the country. Some fear that speaking publicly could cost them their jobs.
I announced my pregnancy to a Year 9 class. One male student said it wasn't possible for me to be pregnant because I was so ugly no one would even rate me.
I asked a student to stop spilling water on the table. He said, "How wet do you get, miss?"
I had a Year 9 boy do a creative writing exercise that basically described an act of gang rape towards me.
When I was heavily pregnant, male students would get scissors and pretend to faux stab me. There were no consequences because all they have to say is, "I was joking, she can't take a joke." I was taking another teacher's class. A boy went to the bathroom, then a female student saw he posted on Snapchat. She was like, "Miss, he's in the toilet wanking over you."
Female students are also in the firing line. Many teachers say girls are becoming quieter in class to avoid the attention of certain boys.
They would take photos of girls' asses when they would go up to ask a teacher a question or write something on the board, and they would have their phones underneath the table.
We've spoken to a high school student we're calling Sarah. We've changed her name and her voice. She says her grade was rocked when it was revealed that boys were sexualizing girls in a Snapchat group.
From what we know, it was a lot of comments on girls in my year level's bodies, ranking them in terms of attractiveness, in terms of whose boobs were better, whose ass was better. It just made me very, very angry to know that they thought that was okay and that they thought they'd be able to get away with it.
After the group was made public, Sarah says her school organised a day-long workshop run by a mental health charity for the boys. The girls had regular schooling with an optional yoga class.
At no point for my year level was there a mental health workshop specifically for female students on things like consent and respectful relationships and where to go if you deal with something like sexual harassment. I was told that silly things like this happen at every school.
The fact that female students around the country are being subjected to being photographed in classrooms without their consent, let alone listening to misogynistic jokes, it's infuriating and shocking. I know that some female students, like Sarah, will be able to deal with it, to call it out for what it is. But I worry for the others who don't feel like they have that courage. How do they continue to feel safe in their school? Teachers are finding it hard to support female students when they're also under attack. Many, like Holly Cooper, have left the profession.
I would just feel sick to my stomach, really. It just kind of got worse. I felt like I was disappointing them. It still really kills me. I felt like I should have just been a little bit better or a little bit stronger for them or just learn how to manage.
It's a decision that still weighs heavily on Holly, who became a teacher after a successful career as a political advisor.
I grew up in a disadvantaged area in the outer suburbs of Melbourne, and I was really passionate about public, education. I was obviously aware the way that teenage boys can be, being gross or, the odd comment. I remember the distinct moment that I thought, this is different. I was teaching a Year 8 class, geography, and a boy in the class said to me, "What do you think about third wave feminism? Do you agree that it's a failure?" And then it was like every day he would sort of come at me with a new question. The gender pay gap is a lie, he would say. And then it just ended up being a thing of like, will you prove it? So I said, okay. So apart from everything else that I was doing with all of the marking and the lesson planning and everything, I was trawling through, all of this data just to prove a point, because it was just going to be, well, miss, she's just making up lies, basically, like women are running the world, like we know that this is true. Now I know that they were talking points straight out of the mouth of Milo Yiannopoulos.
They propel these myths about the wage gap, which are based on bogus economics.
He was at the time like the alt-right kind of like poster child, and he was the one that said feminism is cancer.
Getting called mean names from the left, oh, that was sexist, oh, that was racist, well, it hasn't done me any harm, and it won't do you any harm on the proviso that you don't apologise.
If we focus on the person rather than the issue, then we're missing the point, because you chop their head off and another one grows. Like Milo is ancient history now, it's Andrew Tate, but in another couple of years it'll be somebody else. You know, it's not the problem of the male influencers, it's the question of why are these messages so compelling to young boys? What is it about them that is so appealing?
26-year-old Jefferson knows what it's like to fall down a rabbit hole as a teenage boy.
I would call my younger self a misogynist. It started in high school. I was very self-conscious about like body image, the way people thought about me, the way I like represented myself. So I think when you're not happy with that, you look for answers. I did find myself like looking online, like how to talk to girls, how to be like desirable, how to make people want you and stuff like that. And you find like these male influencers who say that they do want to help. It initially starts off very simple, very innocent, very objectively helpful, like clean your room, go to the gym, like work out, eat healthy. And then like you keep watching, you get recommended something else.
I'm going to save you years of chasing after that woman who doesn't care about you.
A lot of it's like how to tell if a girl is into you. It's like, oh, she'll cross her legs in your direction. And it goes down those type of rabbit holes, and it starts going into like, it's not your fault. It's like, it's other people's fault. It's you know, society's fault, it's women's fault. And then it's also your own fault, because like if women don't want you, then it's like, it's because you're a beta, you know, you're like not manly enough, you're too much of a nice guy.
These beta orbiter soy boy cucks.
Your girl would cheat on you for a better version of you. Women do not want equality.
In the years since Jefferson left school, this type of content has skyrocketed.
I don't give a shit about these bitches.
Feminism destroys women.
Get these crazy girls back in line.
You women absolutely suck at everything.
Studies worldwide show that teenage boys are being recommended misogynist manosphere content, whether they search for it or not.
It doesn't take long for a teenage boy who's online, who might be just doing innocuous searches about sport or fitness, they might be gaming. Very quickly, they start being bombarded with messaging about how a return to traditional masculinity and traditional gender norms is the answer to their problems.
If men are, in fact, better at everything, isn't it our job to protect women?
To be able to have a master family.
The feminist movement doesn't realize that they are the drug dealers.
Governments around the world are fighting to rein in big tech and the problematic content their algorithms are pushing out.
It's critical that we have more regulation and accountability. We need the digital platforms to be assessing risks and building safety protections into their systems. It's what we call safety by design. They can't continue to turn a blind eye to the real world harms that this is causing.
With regards to like the manosphere, it's not like there's some contained like, you know, neon sign that's like enter here to the manosphere. Like this stuff is just mainstream. That's just the internet, you know. People are just buying up ad space wherever it is and then unleashing all manner of things based on who they think their most likely target audience will be.
And teenage boys are the ultimate target audience for this type of content.
If you want a high-quality woman, she is going to look for a man with leadership.
Women know deep down that half the things that come out of their mouth are complete nonsense.
Females are the ultimate status symbol.
For Jefferson, these messages changed the way he viewed and interacted with women.
I would both be more confident with women, but at the same time still feel really shit about myself. There was a lot of times where it was someone who was just a friend, and I would think that like they were like fully in love with me, and that like caused a lot of like relationships to like break down.
Did you find you were judging yourself more harshly?
Yeah, 100%. Judging myself. If you get rejected, then you're like worthless, I guess, or there is no worth to you.
After a while, Jefferson's sister started pushing back on his beliefs.
She would just catch me like saying really stupid shit. Like if I spewed back the talking points that I was given, she wouldn't give ground, essentially. I'd used to go to her for like dating advice, I guess, and I'd say things like, maybe I should just be like a little more like mean. It's just like, what are you talking about? Why would anyone want to be with someone like that?
He realised how much damage these influences were causing.
We've had people like Andrew Tate and many others gain a lot of traction online. What do you think about that?
I feel like a lot of young men, I think they go to Andrew Tate because they're lost. I don't like him. I don't like what he represents. I think it's scary that he's been charged with so many horrible things. He says horrible things about people. He's not even hiding it. And then there are a brigade of young men who will defend those actions.
Not many men would have the courage to say, I used to be a misogynist. And I think that's what makes Jefferson's story so powerful, because he knows how dangerous these online spaces can be for teens and the people around them. But he also knows how to get out of the rabbit hole. And through speaking out, that's what he hopes to do, to help others find their way out.
You have a lot of people out there who probably love you, a lot of people out there who probably want to see you become a better person, and hate's just not the way. Hate's just not the way to do it.
Boys, I know we just alluded to penises, but you got this. I reckon we can keep going.
Youth educator Daniel Principe is optimistic about the next generation of boys.
Let me know when you're ready. GQ magazine, lads. Man of the Year and Woman of the Year. Can anyone notice some differences here? Yeah? She's not wearing shoes. Yes, she's not wearing shoes. What is Lana feeling here? If we could put ourselves in Lana's lack of shoes that she's not wearing, what would she be feeling, you think? What does it look like, yeah? Vulnerable, incredible insight. Now tell me, does James look vulnerable and scared here? No, interesting. Clearly for us to be successful as men, we got to wear tuxedos and have lots of women all over us. I see so much hope and potential, like with what I saw today, that I'm like, the task is hard, but it's possible. My suspicion is if we do this well, boys are actually very open to having these conversations and looking at things that aren't healthy and wanting to challenge and reject that, but that's not something that they're having exposure to all the time.
After speaking to the Year 8s, it's time for a workshop with the seniors.
I genuinely am wondering about some of the darker voices out there, some of the voices that are saying that like all women want is like money, wanting 6 figures, 6 inches, 6 foot. Have you guys seen that content online? The 666?
Daniel's vision for the boys is in stark contrast to what they're seeing from influencers online.
For me, when I think about Andrew Tate, like I just see him as like an avatar. Like I see that lost, scared, insecure, anxious boys who maybe want power, authority, purpose, dominance, control, because they're not happy with their lot in life, get to live vicariously through men like him, through some of the violent pornography they watch, through these toxic voices who put women in their place.
It's not just boys who are being influenced. Girls are also absorbing these ideas. Former teacher Holly remembers doing a class exercise known as traffic lights, which she used to unpack healthy relationships and harmful behaviours.
They all have their cards and just, Green means, yep, that's okay, I'd be comfortable with that. Amber means, oh no, I feel a bit uncomfortable, awkward about that, I'm not sure. Red means no, not acceptable. I remember one distinct scenario, which was he hits the wall next to my head. Obviously a family violence scenario. The amount of greens and ambers that I saw from young women, I knew their parents, they had a good home life, I thought they would absolutely choose healthy relationships, and I questioned one of them and I said, why wasn't it a red? And she said, because he didn't hit me. And I thought, okay, what's going on here?
So when we see a rise of sexist comments, misogynistic jokes, gender stereotypes, these are all contributing to an environment where violence against women is more likely to be tolerated and more likely to occur.
Teenage student Sarah wants schools and society to acknowledge how widespread the problem is.
It starts at my age. It starts at school, it starts with jokes about sexual assault, and then it builds up to domestic violence.
Too many women and girls that I know, that I love, that I've shared life with and been friends with have been impacted by male violence and especially male sexual violence. And for me, we need more boys and more men to care about that issue and to care about the things that have normalised that.
Can you see it in somebody's body language? Can you see it in their discomfort? Maybe they never say a flat out no, but maybe they're like, not now, maybe later, not sure.
Something that came up in this session was, misogyny and sexism. Do you hear much of that from boys your own age?
I think sometimes instead of it being seen as like a serious issue, people take the piss out of it. And don't acknowledge the fact that it affects both men and women.
I feel like social media paints a picture of what we should be doing, but in reality, it's not what it's supposed to be, and it puts unrealistic pressure on boys to perform like that.
It was definitely heartening to hear the boys say that they're aware of these issues. They are pretty critical of some of the problematic content that they're getting bombarded with on social media. But on the other hand, I can't help but wonder what type of conversations the boys are having amongst each other behind closed doors when there's not adults present. I imagine that they're a little bit different.
Rather than just saying, here's the law and that's it. Especially as they get older, they have to be able to think through this.
It's after hours at the school, and Daniel's doing his final presentation, this time for the parents.
Would anyone love another turn of puberty and adolescence with a smartphone in your pocket? Anyone? But of course, we are trying to meet these challenges, and of course, it's the wild west of tech out there.
Daniel opens up about his own adolescence, including being introduced to porn.
Porn was my default sex educator a few years before my first kiss. That's probably the experience of many of us. The average 15-year-old boy is looking at porn, 56% of them every week, 17% every day. It's why I say to schools, to the Department of Ed, our politicians, you could wheel me out in every school every day and I can't compete with that. We all can't, and we're all trying to. We all want something, I'm sure, more than what the global porn industry wants for our children.
What I hear from many young women is that they feel pressured to act in a way that many boys and young men are seeing in porn. We know, for example, that strangulation, what we call choking, has become very mainstream in sex between young people.
Young people haven't signed up for this. I didn't. I've had to unlearn a lot and still on that journey about what porn taught me about women and how to see women. Porn didn't teach me to be concerned about what my partner may or may not be experiencing. And it's unfair that this is what boys and girls are having to unpack right now.
What surprised me was the statistics of how many boys and girls are exposed at such a young age to inappropriate content. It's not the kid or the parent, it's just a whole industry, a whole bunch of scientists and engineers that are designing these platforms to grab the attention of the boys.
We need to hold big tech to account. They're making so much money from weaponizing the most horrific extreme views online just for clicks. And yeah, a lot of boys can dismiss it. It's just banter, it's just a laugh, sir. But of course, these ideas are captivating some hearts and minds. And we know that because it's manifesting in awful behaviours in every school and every postcode across Australia.
It's a very sad, or I guess dark reality, but chances are this is happening at your kid's school and you're probably unaware of it.
It's not a teacher's responsibility, it's not simply parents, it's got to be a societal recognition that there is an issue before we're even at the starting blocks.
It's not one thing. It's not that, oh, this boy watched a clip on Pornhub and now he's calling his teacher a stupid bitch. Like, it's multifaceted. Like, it's coming from a range of places. When things go badly, we look to schools to deal with the issue. Like, what are schools doing? Rather than, what's everyone doing?
Given what we're competing against, I just think it's going to take all of us, from individual parents, families, communities, sporting clubs, schools, religious groups, and all the way up to government, to do something so that it is easier for a young person to navigate their adolescence in a way that isn't demoralising to them, that isn't dehumanising to them and to others. And we have to exercise our moral imaginations as to what that's going to look like, because no other generation has had to navigate this before.